Welcome back to the show. Check out these headlines. US, UK, and EU banks all on the XRP ledger. We're about to show it to you. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. You can follow us on X, YouTube, and DigPerspectives.com for exclusive content. We're back to 4 trillion, right on the nose market cap for cryptocurrency. The market's up 0.1. Right now, Bitcoin is 113,000 plus, Ethereum 4,100 plus, and XRP slips to the number 4 spot yesterday to 286. We're up 1.7 on the 24. We're still off 5.5 on the 7-day. Ask me if I'm scared, because I'm not. Yeah, ranging between 281 and 288. Let it range. I know what we're waiting for. We need the legislation. So let's talk about all the great things that are happening while we wait for it, right? Yeah, let's get into that. The range 281 to 288, we'll keep an eye on it. Caleb and Brown, ladies and gentlemen, XRPwealth589.com. I don't know what you're waiting for if you haven't done it yet. I've gotten so many comments and messages from people that are absolutely loving the personal touch service. They love it. They absolutely love it. It mirrors traditional finance where you pick up the phone, you call your broker and go sell it all, sell 10,000, all of that. They'll do it all. It's unbelievable. So listen, if you're interested in that kind of convenience, ease of use, and certainly security, I tell you, they got it here. So go to xrpwealth589.com and get started today. Let's do this right here. This is Tom Emmer talking about seeing massive growth when the Clarity Act becomes law. And that's what we're here for, baby.
It picked up a lot when everyone around the world heard Donald Trump saying, we're going to make this country the crypto capital of the world. It's a new day, and he's going to move everything forward. He wants the U.S. to be open for business again. Well, as soon as that happened, you started seeing stuff in Japan and China and on the other side of the Atlantic. All these different countries were like, no, we're the best. We are the best, and we will be the best now that we've got Donald J. Trump making sure that everyone knows that our goal is to be the best. As we started getting our act together, legislatively, not just his executive orders, but Genius and now Clarity. As we do that, Tony, just watch this place. There are so many innovators and entrepreneurs who want to be in the U.S., but they just, the way people like Gary Gensler and Elizabeth Warren and all these people treated them, the Biden administration. I heard a great comment when we had the first Digital Assets Summit at the White House. One of the guests said, who could have ever believed we'd be sitting here today in the White House? A year ago, if you would have told me this would happen, I would have thought we were more likely to be in a jail cell.
Yeah.
It's changed dramatically.
It really has, and it's quite beautiful. And things are unfolding very quickly. As we know, just in, US and UK announced a task force to explore cooperation on crypto regulations. And with that, Brian Armstrong says great progress for crypto in the UK today, forming that new task force, which will help bring global financial system into the 21st century. Giving kudos to Rachel Reeves, MP over in UK, and U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent for making it happen. He said, I'm proud that Coinbase is able to support on this. And obviously, Ripple supporting as well. Cassie Craddock got to go in and join the fund to coincide with President Trump's state visit to the UK last week. I had the honor of attending a roundtable in Downing Street alongside the UK Chancellor Rachel Reeves, U.S. Secretary of Treasury Scott Bessent, and as well as representatives from a number of leading UK and U.S. financial and crypto firms. There's a huge opportunity for closer cooperation between the US and UK on digital assets, and a partnership which has the potential to set a template for international cooperation in our industry. As a US headquartered company with a major presence in the UK, Ripple is well placed to leverage its strong transatlantic footprint to further drive US UK tech innovation and collaboration by supporting blockchain adoption in the UK. The UK has long been one of the world's leading global financial centers, and I truly believe it has the opportunity to become a leading digital asset and innovation hub. And we think the same too, Cassie. Increased international collaboration between the US and UK, including initiatives such as the roundtable earlier this week, will further serve to unlock the full economic potential of blockchain technology in both countries. Ripple looks forward to contributing to the discussion. And there she is right there. And that is a picture for the ages, ladies and gentlemen. Look at the smile on her face. Cassie understands how big that is. That we do too, Cassie, and we appreciate you and your leadership in the matter. Here we see this. Let's go ahead and tie this in. Bank of Canada is considered using Ripple's technology for payments. This is all the way back to 2020, but we're going somewhere. Stay with us.
And in fact, the Bank of Canada is for. And in fact, the Bank of Canada is working on projects to build the capability for that central bank digital currency. So although they're not going to issue that currency as yet, when the need arises to issue it, they want to be ready. So we're working closely with them on that specifically. And we're looking at providers like Ripple and how you offer it versus the different providers, and really just to get best practices and what's going to work for Canada, what's going to work, from a global perspective, interoperable perspective. So it's something that underpins, I would say it's an undercurrent to our current more active modernization projects.
So there you have that, right? So let me get this pause right here. So there's Canada. That's all the way back a few years ago. And then here's Central Bank of France confirmed is looking at XRP and Ethereum as well. Take a look.
Associated with accessibility, whether on a wholesale basis, which is kind of what she spoke about at the start, i.e. accessible to financial institutions or to designated financial institutions, or a retail, i.e. universal accessibility basis. The group deliberately took a more operational perspective than that typically adopted in CBDC related works, much of which has been driven by theoretical approaches. Part 1 of the report, so on and so forth. We're not going to look at that. It's to manage and would result in central banks having to organize circulation of a wholesale CBDC on blockchain whose technology and governance frameworks are out of its control. Okay, that's not the one that Christine Lagarde wants to go for. However, the second approach is units issued on a wholesale CBDC native blockchain could be transferred to other blockchains, since the attributes of the unit of the wholesale CBDC file represents the current unit, the currency unit, key enabling use may be integrated in cryptocurrency assets circulating on other blockchains, which is possible on Ethereum and, let's zoom in a little bit here, Ripple, meaning XRP, because Ripple is not a blockchain, it's a technology company.
Exactly. Meaning XRP, because Ripple is a technology company, not a blockchain. There's always that, misuse of the verbiage in a lot of these reports or in interviews. And then we have this. HSBC rolls out cross-border tokenized deposits starting with Ant International. Now, what's interesting about this is we've been working with HSBC for a long time, but let's just remind you just how closely we are to HSBC. Riz remembers Chris Larson was on the board of HSBC. There he is right there. Chris Larson, executive chairman of Ripple, expert in blockchain. How about that? Yeah. And then what do we see here? David Schwartz giving an explanation. Take a listen. Who's in it?
Market, something like $10 trillion by 2030. And, the increases in tokenization. In the early days of Ripple, another thing I learned talking to banks is that a lot of banks don't care about payments. And they're looking at things like digital asset insurance. They're looking at tokenized commodities like gold. So I think those are tokenized securities. HSBC is extremely interested in those types of projects.
HSBC is extremely interested in those types of projects. And then here's more information on the matter. Ripple's Reese Merrick.
Ripple acquired a company called Metaco, Swiss-based custody solution who are serving, tier 1 banks globally. And the reason why is that a lot of these banks and large FIs are looking at how they can tokenize real-world assets, but essentially don't have the tech behind it in order, or don't have the capability to build or want to build, to be able to actually have a custody solution that enables that safety for their customers. So HSBC is one example. Largest bullion provider globally. They are now digitizing gold, and it's just to a subset of their customer base at the moment. But if a player like HSBC is coming into the market, tokenizing gold, as well as real estate and other kind of assets, then, you know, on the front of it, one side they're saying, oh, you know, crypto, you know, this, that, and the other, and it's clear that behind the scenes, as I mentioned earlier, they're looking at strategies, looking at the market opportunity, and actually believe that it's not just hype, that it's happening.
There you have it right there, ladies and gentlemen. HSBC tokenizing everything from gold to real estate and everything in between. And here's the U.S. bank that's on the XRP ledger. It's Greg Kidd's Vast Bank. And listen to what else he adds into this.
Now, Vast Bank. Tell us about Vast Bank.
So I made the decision of what would it be like if we could put the banking industry directly on chain. So you've heard some of the other tokenized asset talks today. So the question is, instead of having like a Circle or a Tether in between, what if US banks put dollars directly on chain, including the XRP ledger? So that would mean that the ledger of record isn't some like old 50-year-old bank core, it's actually the blockchain. And so to do that, had to buy a US bank, and you can imagine, even though I'm ex-Federal Reserve, having worked at Ripple, made some other investments in crypto, it was not an easy lift, but last year we were finally approved. Might have helped that I ran for Congress and was going to make a stink if it didn't happen.
Here in Nevada, right?
Here in Nevada in the 2nd District. We purchased Vast Bank, OCC, nationally chartered Fed holding company, and we have one purpose, which is to put the US dollar on chain. And what that means is these are FDIC insured US dollars, complete with Reg E chargeback protections, means if you get robbed, you get your money back, running on chain. And in particular, under the new administration with open banking and fair access, those dollars can be held by every person all around the world. So that means essentially everybody in the world has a US dollar deposit account, FDIC insured. And so I'd ask you a question. You've heard about the new 5% tax. If you're on this ledger and you're sending money from, you know, you're here under one visa and you're sending it back home to your mom, if that money never leaves being a dollar, never leaves the country, never even leaves the bank, is that a remittance? I don't think so. I think in this new world, if everything is on ledger, including the XRP ledger, and it's just moving on ledger, what does it mean anymore to move money from one country to another? It doesn't really happen. It just all stays on ledger. And it's the XRP ledger that made that possible all the way back in 2012. That's really why I joined Ripple to this day. And so buying a bank and putting US dollars on, we've also made an investment in the Bank of London, and I'm closing a bank deal in Europe soon. So that means dollars, pounds, and euros running 24/7 bank money on chain.
On chain, on the XRP ledger.
On the XRP ledger. Okay. We'll put it on other ledgers too.
News.
So, yep.
Now.
So this is where we're at here. He's working with banks in the UK, EU, as well as what he's already done in the US. So stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. Which brings us to EU ministers reaching agreement on Friday on the digital euro roadmap, including tokens holding mint. And the digital euro aims to become an alternative to the US-based Visa and MasterCard system with an electronic wallet. So there you have that. They're looking to get all their citizens dialed in on their system. That's what they're looking to do. And I totally understand it, and I totally get it, and I know you do too. But, you know, this is where the system is going. If you listen to what Greg Kidd just laid out, well, here it is, isn't it? It's all the banks on RippleNet. Everybody's dialed in, everybody's compliant, and everything they're doing is on ledger. So it shouldn't cost a thing to move any of these payments, and there shouldn't be any reason to tax anybody for anything that did move. But that's just my 2 cents at my house. Now, with that being said, this is why I firmly believe Ripple's going to get that national charter and the Federal Reserve master account. There's no stopping it at this point, the way I see it. Now, here we see two scenarios based on historical price action from XRP Crypto. The current charts are showing anywhere from $9.60 to 33 bucks. If you go back to 2017, XRP displayed remarkable strength by touching the 21 EMA as key support, not just once, but twice. And the critical action set the stage for an astonishing rally that propelled prices upward by a staggering 1,610%. Now that happened, and I was here for it. I was here for this too. In a stark contrast, we faced major challenges with the court case at the time when we initially broke the 21 EMA. And here we see an unprecedented black swan event that sent shockwaves through the XRP community with that lawsuit. However, closing above the 21 EMA, we executed a successful test, which ultimately propelled us to an impressive 414% gain. So there you have that. And based on what he says right now, based on historical XRP price behavior with 321 EMA and the last leg, we saw an incredible pumps of 1,610% and 414%. If we take a look at the recent retest of 21 EMA on June 9, 2025, as a starting point for potential measured move, and we project these historic increases, we could see targets of $9.60 to $33. Take it or leave it. The choice is yours to make. As for me, I'm still holding strong, and so am I, XRP Crypto. And I say, I'm just excited to see what this thing does. I mean, we've never had a situation where we've waited for the most important piece of legislation to be put through yet. But that's the moment we're in now. We've never been in a situation where we're waiting for almost 20 XRP spot ETFs to be approved, and they may be damn near simultaneous when it happens. We've never been in a situation where we've seen Ripple already out of the case and it was successful. And we've never seen the case where Ripple actually does get the federal master account and the Federal Reserve master account and the banking charter. So put all those things in line and ask yourself, if we've already seen 1,600% and 414% in pumps in previous history, what's to say we don't shatter those? Not financial advice from me or anyone else. It's just my digital perspectives. Going into the Freedom Zone today, we're going to get into it. There's an update and we have for you why so many kids are turning out to have autism. Well, we're going to tackle it right in here. You can join us in the Freedom Zone. Click the link underneath the video. It's a great way to support the channel. Come on in.